All right. I hope this isn't my old recording. All right, so again, subtracting fractions, we need a common denominator. If we're subtracting decimals, we need to line up the decimal points and line up place value. So not only are we lining up those decimal points, but remember the tenths have to be added, the hundredths have to be added, the ones, the tens, so on and so forth. Subtracting integers, our famous saying, change subtraction to addition, change the sign of the second number. All subtraction equations can be turned into addition equations. Absolute value is a number's distance from zero. Absolute value, a number's distance from zero. When you have absolute value bracket signs in there, they are another sign of grouping symbols. So if I have something like 4 plus 2 inside absolute value brackets, do the 4 plus 2, get your solution, then find the answer of absolute value. Guess what kids oftentimes forget? They'll do the 4 plus 2, but then they will forget the absolute value on the outside of that. So don't forget that that has an extra step if absolute value is there. Questions so far? You'll have some practice questions on the worksheet. Okay, subtract -3 minus 2 using a number line. Do you remember how we plot this on the number line? What should be the first number we put on the number line? We're going to put -3 on the number line. If we follow our rule to change subtraction to addition, change the sign of the second number, our subtraction sign becomes an addition sign, and a +2 becomes a -2. So what does that look like on the number line when we do our jumps then? Are we going to go left or right? We're going to go to the left. We're going to add 2 more negatives to it. And where are we going to end? We're going to end at a -5. So a -3 plus a -2 is a -5, but so is -3 minus 2. Example 2, subtract 4 minus -2 using tiles. We're not going to pull out the tiles today. What is our rule we need to remember? Good, so it becomes an easy question then. 4 plus 2 is the same thing as 6. Example 3, same thing apply? Change subtraction to addition, change the sign of the second number. So now I have one that's negative and one that's positive. What are we going to do with that? It is going to be a positive answer because 14 is bigger. What else? Subtract them. So 14 minus 11 6/10. We're going to have to add a decimal point behind the 14, so it's 14.0 minus 11 6/10, because not only are we lining up decimal points, but we're lining up place value. Can you have 0 and take 6 away?
No.
So what do we have to do? Borrow. 4 becomes a 3, 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 6,
4,
3 minus 1,
2,
1 minus nothing, or 1 minus 1. Don't forget that decimal point. Kiara told us our answer was going to be positive or negative? Positive. So our answer is done. We are positive 2 4/10. Questions there? Simplify. I don't believe I gave you this one in your notes, did I? Nope, because I duplicated 2. Change the one at the very bottom of the page. The absolute value of 5 minus 12. See how I have that at the top of page 2? So change it to this one, please. Absolute value of -13 minus a -21 inside absolute value brackets. Absolute value brackets are grouping symbols. So we're going to do our work inside the absolute value brackets. We're going to change subtraction to addition, change the sign of the second number. Record your absolute value brackets for your answer to be written inside of now. Negative 13 plus 21. How can you solve that? Negative 13 plus 21. 21 minus 13, which is how much? 8. Is this a positive 8 inside the brackets or a negative 8? Positive. Why?
Because 21 is positive.
21 is bigger, and it's positive when we change subtraction to addition and change the sign of the second number. Now, what is the absolute value of 8?
8.
It is 8 units away from 0. Now, absolute value of 5 minus 12, top of your second page. What is 5 minus 12? Negative 7, but that negative 7 needs to be written inside your absolute value brackets. What is now the absolute value of negative 7?
7.
Positive 7 is correct. Questions there? Next one. Evaluate x minus a negative y, where x is negative 3 and y is negative 6. We have lots of negatives, so you have to keep track of where you're at with what you're writing. So, x is going to be a negative 3. Put it inside parentheses. Then it's your subtraction sign. Now you're inside the next set of parentheses. Inside that parentheses, do you see how that's recorded as a negative y? But they're giving it to us here as a positive y.
So it's a positive 6.
It is a positive 6. Does everybody understand why? If it's a negative y here, but a positive y here, you're going to give the opposite. Your other option would have been to write the negative, but then also write the negative 6. But doesn't a negative times a negative also equal a positive? So you'd still end up with that positive 6. Now, if we follow the rule of change subtraction to addition, change the sign of the second number, we get a negative 3 plus a negative 6. What is a negative 3 plus a negative 6? Negative 9. Last one. The temperature in Montreal, Canada at 6 o'clock was a negative 8 degrees Celsius. Find the temperature at 10 p.m. if it fell 7 degrees Celsius. So current temperature at 6 o'clock was negative 8. The temperature fell, meaning you're adding or subtracting.
Subtraction.
So it fell a positive 7 degrees. So we should have a negative 8 minus 7. Change subtraction to addition. Change the sign of the second number. What is a negative 8 plus a negative 7? Negative 15. Label. Degrees Celsius. Questions on any of those?